Hello fellow tankers, bonjour amis tankistes. In this video I will present you a tutorial on the two domination version of the Pradesh map, a map as I will explain that I really hate. So starting with this version number 1 where the free caps are quite close to each other and with a pretty nice gameplay actually. I have to admit that I only played this map twice since the last patch. Before I simply banned the map because I just hate it. So I will show you the two gameplays. So the first gameplay played for this domination version number 1, played from south, and then I will show you a gameplay for the domination number 2 that you see now and that I will address a bit later. So let's first talk about this domination number 1 version of the Pradesh map, and I hate both versions because the map is actually quite beautiful, but the gameplay is simply stupid because most of the time you have half of your team staying in spawn and camping, half of the enemy team doing the same, especially from the blue side, and it happens that from the spawn you can snipe at absolutely nothing. On this Pradesh number 1 map, you cannot snipe at A, you cannot snipe at B, you cannot snipe at C. The only place where you can really snipe at C is from the hills on the east. But on this Pradesh number 1, there is absolutely no point to go there because you will be completely isolated, far from the caps. And again, A and B are actually very well protected from campers. Let me discuss now the access to the free caps. Let me mention that I had a game before this patch when the map appears with my hoosh, Swedish hoosh, on this map where I capped the free zones. I had 0 kill. But the enemy didn't approach the zone, the other members of my team didn't approach the zone, and in a sense I won the match by capping the free zone and having 0 kills. That was actually completely absurd. A reason why I hate this map. As you will see, it's actually quite easy to navigate between zones without being snapped. So let's start from the blue side. My advice is that you start with A. We will see a bit the area around A, and let me emphasize that for both sides, this little area on the east of A in the lower ground is extremely important because if you control it, you will have a very easy access between A and B, and that will be actually also a good position here to defend A from the enemy. And that will again be a nice way to control this path, this route between A and B that you will see during the gameplay. For the blue side, another alternative is actually to go to see from the other spawn. The route is actually quite well protected and not too long, but ultimately the problem is that C is a bit isolated and it will be quite difficult to then fight for B or A. From the red side, so from the right side, really don't try to go to C. Here you can be sniped, and the route is very long and awkward. So from the red side, my advice is that either you go to A, but actually my favorite option, actually you will see that in the second gameplay on the version number 2. My favorite option is actually to take this road and to come down here, and it happens that this apparently open route between here and B is actually very safe, and you have a very fast and safe access to B. And then from the red side in this Pradesh number 1 version, you can try to ultimately take this safe path and well-covered path to put pressure on A and to navigate between A and B. From the red side, from B, it's actually a good option. Another good option is actually to push towards C, because here the crossing is actually quite well protected, and much easier. The crossing is much easier for the red side than for the blue side. So that's about that. Let me just mention that, okay, you can stay sniping from spawn, but you will honestly achieve absolutely nothing. And moving on this map is actually not that difficult. Obviously, try to avoid the water. Alright, so let's move to the version number 2 of this Pradesh map, where you notice that the cap A is where the cap B was in the Domination version number 1, and the cap B is where the cap C was in the previous map, while now the cap C is on the hill. So now it really makes more sense to go to the hill, because not only this map is played in a very high BR, so sniping is obviously more effective, but you have also to fight for a cap, and from C you can also come down and maybe attack B, so it makes sense to go to C. Personally, I still prefer, especially from the north side, I mentioned for the previous version of the map that I like to come down here and to go straight in the lower ground to A. And in the beginning of the game, it's actually quite easy to do also on this version of the map. Also later in the game, if you have enemies near C, that can be a bit more tricky. So that's why it's maybe useful to do it in the beginning of the game. While on this map, because the caps have been moved for the red side, the access to A is really long. You can use the same access that I will show you in the first gameplay, but it's actually pretty long. So from the right side, usually I start with B, and ultimately either help my team on C. You can actually access to C by a road here. It's a bit awkward, but it's pretty easy to do. Or from the right side, I would go also toward B, essentially using the kind of approach that both sides will use in the first gameplay to navigate this time between B and C on the first version of the map. Anyway, I think that's all for this two version of the maps that again I really don't like. And now we will move to the gameplay on the first version of the map played from the south side, and the gameplay for the second version of the map, this one played from the north side. And meanwhile, I hope that you will keep on encourage me addressing the maps in the game, even the one that I absolutely dislike and that you probably dislike too, by keeping on firing likes on the video that you find useful. And if you are not already subscribed, please shoot on the subscribe button. Thank you in advance. So I'm playing my French lineup at BR 7.3. During this game, I was speeding my AMX, new AMX AuF1, the Votre. You will see it as my second tank, but for the first tank, I prefer to take the fast Lorraine to take good position on A as fast as possible. It's actually quite important. It happened that actually during this game, in the beginning at least of the game, the enemy was not too present on A. And so my advice when you go to A is at this level to go to the slightly to the right, to go in the lower ground. But at this stage I don't really see enemies. I have to say that A is easier to attack from the blue side, whereas B, as we will see, is as easy from both sides. Anyway, even from the right side, let me just make a quick stop here. My advice is, even from the right side, of course from here you will not cap, but this position here is an extremely good defensive position to to put a lot of pressure on A. And this position that I mentioned in my tutorial in the beginning of the video also helps you to control the access to B. So it's also very important for the red side to control this area, either to defend A or to communicate between A and B. But obviously it's easier to do from the blue side. My advice is that you don't try to go to A from the right side this way, but you can come from B. But this T44 100 was a bit too naive. He could have gone under the arch and come in the lower ground here and to flank the blue side by exploiting the lower ground where I am, and by going, let me show you just by trying to go this way, for instance. So to put pressure on the blue side, but definitely going on the top as he did in the beginning was obviously a bit naive. So here, as you can see, you have a very safe access from A and B. From A and B, you cannot be sniped from any spawn. You have just to be careful, obviously, not to cap in the middle of the zone. So there is a T92 which is killed by one of my allies. So here you see the T44, but obviously during the gameplay I could not see the marker. I say, okay, I see my neighbor shooting at something. I say, what is it? Oh, and now I see the T44, which actually damage my ally, and ultimately I kill it. And I cap B. So nothing so exciting so far. So I say, okay, I capped A and B, why not cap C? So as I mentioned previously in my tutorial, it's actually quite delicate to go from B to C for the blue side. It's actually much easier for the red side because they are protected by this road. But here you actually have quite a bit of protection if you drive below the road. But here I make a mistake. I see this AMX and I want to snipe it. I don't have a laser rangefinder, but I know my Lorraine gun very well, with almost 4,000 games in AB and 700 games in RB with it, and I take a plane. So obviously that was not very clever, and I'm not expecting my Lorraine to survive. It's actually still alive, but in a bad shape. I'm burning. I don't have any gun. I don't. My engine is also fucked up, and I have some tanks coming from C. So I really made a mistake by first stopping to snipe the AMX on the top, and also then that was not the right moment to take a bomber. But that was an excellent opportunity to introduce this AMX AuF1, which now is actually being retired from for quite a long time in the French army, which has been replaced by the César officer. Some of them are in Ukraine currently. And this in the game, the AuF1, so it has a chassis of an AMX 30 and an autoloader with 42 shells. I'm only taking 22 shells. That's well enough. You have an autoloader with 7.5 second reload. There is also a proximity shell for planes, but at this stage I didn't have it yet. I was still speeding the tank. Now it's speeded. So I won't tell you it's a game changer, for sure it's not. It's a fun officer like the Type 75 in the Japanese lineup, or the similar officer in the Russian lineup. It's fun. Sometimes you make fun kills, but it's definitely not a game changer. I think I have actually carried one game with it, but generally I have, let's say, average games with it, a few kills, a few caps. It's actually quite mobile, as you can see. Although I have accelerated the video, and I'm going towards C. You see, using the other spawn. So here I'm escaping bombs, and so the mobility is actually quite good. And you see that I ultimately reach C, and I meet again this AMX which was sniping. Unfortunately, he has a faster reload. He will shoot me again, but I will kill it in my second shot. But I'm a bit fucked up, pardon my French. Yeah, I know I do that quite often, but come on, that's funny. And well, I survive. I noticed that if you take only 20 or so shells, it's actually not. I mean, it's easy, obviously, to kill, but you have a bit of survivability. So a fun tank, but definitely not a game changer. A bit original. Obviously, this is not a tank killer in real life. It's an officer supposed to shoot at 25-30 kilometers away. So, and now I'm going from C to B from the blue side, so generally it's not that safe. That's why really C is the isolated cap on this map, because from the red side it's very hard to get there directly. It's actually pretty easy to go there from B, and from the blue side it's not so easy to escape and to go from C to B, although I succeeded. And now I am struggling a bit with the very bad gun depression of my AUF1. Obviously, you can expect that from an officer, although the elevation is very good. But I see a little SPA, which has obviously no chance to survive my powerful HE. Here I have this T-32, and I know that I will have a plane. You see that I have 3 bomber points, and so I hesitate to take the plane, but I say, okay, come on, I'm speeding this tank. Let me try to get a plane. Obviously, I'm a bit scared that this T-32 pops up while I'm in a plane. Let me accelerate, and it happens that maybe because I was in a big hurry, or it's just because my plane was killed, that I completely miss my bombing. But I break the gun of the T-32. I thought I did, but ultimately, sorry, I accelerated a bit too much, but ultimately I killed the T-32. As you noticed, our team lost A and B, but Vadim, Severitatem, and me, we are recapturing B. And here, obviously, I have to do something very dangerous, which is to go on the red side of the cap to avoid the bombs which were behind me. But fortunately, again, the sniping position in the spawn are really dreadful. I don't understand why very often on this map, especially in higher BR, so many people stay in spawn. We see at this BR of 7.3 there is essentially no point. So here, unfortunately, I will cap, and I will be killed by RT. That's a bit unlucky. So I'm responding with the AMX 50. I will do essentially nothing because I will not see enemies, or at least I will not be able to shoot at them. Here I decide to go the main road. In general, my advice is that when you go to A, you go to the right before going here, but here I know that there is an M47, and since it's the end of the game, I want to have a last kill. Ultimately, I decide that no, maybe there is something on B that I will be able to kill, but I don't have enough time. But again, just to illustrate the extremely easy access that you have between A and B, which again makes the sniping a bit ridiculous on this map. So not the most exciting game in the world, but as you see, 4 caps, quite a bit of kills, and with Vadim actually more kills than the rest of the team. But 4 caps, and again, it's very common for me to have a lot of caps on this map, and again, sometimes to win this game just by capping while the rest of the team is not moving. So this time I'm playing my 10.3 Swedish lineup, and I'm speeding the Leopard 2A4, which has been introduced recently, so my mobility is not great. As you can see, most of my team is going to C, which is fine. I mean, it makes sense to go to C, maybe not so many tanks. And I will show you in this gameplay really how stupid is this map, because you can win this map by doing almost nothing. And my advice is really that you go to A. I mean, if you don't go to C, go to A in the very beginning of the game, because from C, since this map is played in very IBR, you can be sniped from C by crossing like I'm doing right now, but in the beginning of the game it's absolutely safe, and it's also so it's an absolutely safe approach to A, and it's a safe approach to B if you are playing the version number 1, and you cannot be sniped at least in the beginning of the game. And in low BR, obviously, I mean, in tier 5 or in the lower end of tier 6, it will be hard even to snipe you in later in the game. So here you are essentially covered. If you have snipers on the hill in front of me, they are very vulnerable from C, from the other spawn, and from the position where I am, it's very easy to get them, and from where I am, I have cover where there the people who are sniping from spawn have essentially no cover. So let me mention that in this battle, the enemy team will stay in spawn, as it happens very often, and that Severitatem, my squad mate, who was also my squad mate during the first game, will make a massacre from C, and also with helicopters, I think, by just sniping the enemy spawn, not by killing people really trying to attack A. So here I meet someone on B who is fighting with the people on C, and we see doesn't expect someone coming from A. And here I will exploit this this rock to snipe two people sniping from spawn. You see how stupid it is to stay your entire game in the spawn if it's to die so miserably. Another guy died in the spawn, while it's very safe from the right side, a bit long, but to go to A, and then to go from A to B without being sniped. Going to B directly from the right side is quite dangerous. My advice, even if the the path to go to A is quite long. My advice, if you don't go to C, go to A by essentially using the approach that I used during the first gameplay. Here my helicopter is immediately killed. So here I wanted to go to C, since I thought that my team would never cap it, but ultimately they did cap it. So at this point, where are the enemy? Still in spawn, you know, they never left the spawn. And let me just skip on the gameplay just to show you how stupid is this map. Really, it's unfortunately quite beautiful map, but badly designed. I mean, at least especially this Domination #2 is just a map which doesn't work. So let me accelerate. Let me not spend too much on this map, but too much time. But again, just to show you, you see when the enemy team is not leaving spawn, well, you go to their spawn. To be fair, I think that the red side has a disadvantage on the big version of the map, not necessarily on the small version, version number 1 of the map, but on this version, I think they have a disadvantage because most people will not bother to go to actually deal with the map by going this way. If you go this way, you get A, you've got perfect cover, and then you have perfect cover to go toward B. Essentially, as a good cover as I had when I crossed between A and B, which is very safe. So at this point, the gameplay is finished. So as you can see, a huge contribution of our squad, obviously in a pretty boring game, I admit. I played this map twice since the last patch, and I show you the two gameplays, but I hope that I give you some ideas to move on this map if you don't want just to camp in spawn or near the hill on C. So I thank you for watching and also for keeping on supporting this channel. See you on the battlefield.